Hello and welcome back. This is our 6 Modes Presents Orcs Must Die. We're playing the DLC content, Lost Adventures. This is level 2 of that, so I don't know if it's level 26 or level 2 of the DLC. It's Reverse Tower, so that's the map, and it is, as the name suggests, it's the same as level 15, which is the tower, but it's in reverse. So instead of the monsters coming, or the orcs coming from the bottom up to the top, they start at the top and head their way to the bottom, as well as there's flyers on this map, primarily the frost flyers. So that's why I've grabbed the fire ring, and on this you want to go the steel weaver. That's because there is an ample amount of fire ogres on this level. So the first round is pretty hectic, throws you right into it. I like to use my flame traps to face the door, and then a second one just off it. There's a group of flyers on the first map, our first round, and a fire ogre. So it all happened pretty quickly there, but what will happen is a bunch of orcs will come out first. Yeah, you deal with them. Then there's the bunch of flying monsters, and you want to use the fire ring to take those out in a bunch, and you want to charm this fire ogre as well. And then typically what I do then is wherever my fire ogre is fighting, I will place the next flame trap, and if I've got money for a flame trap and he's moved, then I'll place another one, so it kind of, because he's kind of creating a blockade, so that fire trap can help out that ogre, and you kind of want them evenly spaced like that anyway. It's just the ordering you place them in just depends on this first fire ogre and how he's doing. So I'm just getting all the fire traps set up at the top here. So if you remember the tower from the original content, it's exactly the same, except the door and the rift are in opposite directions. So there is actually a second door, but also there's flyers. So if you look on my map, here we go, round 2 just has the 2 flyers. But you got to keep an eye on the mini map, and anytime you see dots appear like there in the bottom right hand corner, if you're just looking up at the mini map, that means the frost flies have come, and they're probably going to be what makes you lose this level more than anything, as well as probably dying, like in terms of getting hit. So yeah, always keep an eye on that mini map so you know when there's flyers coming, and he also says there's flyers in the air. Now I think I might do a bit of a commando jump here if I have to. So the first 2-3 rounds you kind of want to spin up the top if you can, and then from there you probably want to situate yourself at the bottom near the rift. So having said that, there is the same portal as there was in the first tower, and that takes you from the top down to the bottom at the rift, and in this it's a lot more vital to use than it was in the other one. Now round 3 does have sappers, and it has another fire ogre as well, so you'll want to try and charm him. It's good if you can use the same charm pad. I noticed my first fire ogre died, that's kind of to be expected. And the third round has no flyers as well, so you have to worry about them on the first round, and then there's 2 of them initially on the second round, and then a couple more come after the wave of orcs in the second round as well. So I've got that fire ogre up here, I've got my flame trap set up. I mean, the top's actually looking kind of good. So starting at round 4 is when they'll start coming through the second gate, and as you can see here, so there's going to be a bunch of kobolds running through. So this is going to be your where I'm standing now is sort of your main choke point, because every single monster has to kind of run past this. That's of course unless you use push traps and spring traps, which I will be using later on as well. So if they get pushed off and not into the lava, they might get a shortcut down to the ground. And I'll just speak about that briefly. The reason why I'm going for the flame traps at the start, and then I'll also be bolstering that with crossbows on the roof, which I think are probably the best item on this map, as opposed to push and spring traps, is if you use the push and spring traps to try and send them down to the bottom, and they don't land in the lava, it actually gives them a shortcut to your rift, and so it actually can be quite a hinder. So you kind of want to bolster your defences where you can first, and particularly at the rift, before you start placing those spring and push pads, or otherwise you might have you know, lots of fire ogres at the bottom who didn't quite make it into the lava. So just placing more charm traps up here. I noticed there's another fire ogre, and you know, my current fire ogre is down here, so that charm trap was taken up. But yeah, basically from here, from about round 4, late round 4, round 5, you probably want to start basing yourself at the rift, particularly if you've already got the top covered, like I have. I've got lots of flame traps up there, and a couple of charm traps, and that's because in a few of the future traps there's going to be a hell of a lot of fire ogres. So here you can see there's lots and lots and lots of these flying ice monsters. The fire ring is the best one to take care of them. The fire ring does do sort of like an AoE damage, but it doesn't chain as well as the lightning, because I believe how it works is it attacks the first one and then it does kind of like a ring attack around the other ones, so it's not as, you know, the chain lightning will go in a kind of a string, and the AoE on the fire will go around in a sort of more of a circle, if that sort of makes sense. So anyway, placing a third charm, I mean, that's why I haven't spent too much money. Ooh, that was a really good flame. That was a really good flame. So while I was playing this, you really got to keep an eye on that top right, and because I was keeping an eye on that top right, I can see when they come, and then it's about 30 seconds later and about your killing field. And so you want to do as much damage you can to the other orcs during that 30 seconds, and then once they're kind of in the middle where they were, that's when you want to attack them. So because I'm not an extremely rich man, I can't charm all of these fire ogres. So as you can see, there's like, I think there's about 6 of them on the field at the moment. 3 of them are under my command, or 2 of them are under my command, and the rest of them aren't. So because I don't have the push traps yet, and I don't have the steel weaver that allows ogres to, you know, be damaged by them, I'm going to have to kill them myself. And so using the ice technique with the headshots is the quickest way to do it. There was other ways that I've sort of done this map where you get spring traps first and things like that, but unless you have that upgrade where it affects ogres, I actually did this map and I would have got the 5 skulls, but I was 15 seconds after the par, so I had to try to find a way to kind of kill them quicker. And so yeah, so I'm placing crossbows there up the top, which are really good, so they will one-shot the flyers as well as help kill the ogres. So this start of the round has got 3 ogres up here, and I believe a couple down the bottom. There we go, I can just see them. So quickest way down is to jump in the middle and then jump back, and then you're right there to be able to defend. The other thing you've got to be careful of is there is actually full damage in this game, and I only learnt it on this map. And if you jump from the very, very top to the bottom, then you just die. Your legs break and you die, and I don't even think it matters if you're on full health or not. You just end up dead. But yeah, so basically now, you know, I'll be spending majority of my time by the rift itself, and I can use that portal to jump up if need be, or I can run up the stairs to get to the second platform. And basically what I'll be looking to do is at the start of each wave, get to one of the doors and throw down an AoE lightning or do some damage, see the assessment of what kind of monsters are coming out, and then jump down to the bottom to defend. Yeah, I don't rely on the logs on this level because I always end up accidentally shooting them down. So I'm not like, oh, on wave 7 or 6 or whatever I'm going to use a log, because chances are that with how my aim goes, I typically you know, kill something before them. So yeah, the crossbows are really good. You can place them up on the top or the middle or the bottom. I prefer place them on the top and the bottom themselves. Put a couple in the middle. Basically, if they're up the top, they can shoot most of the ogres coming down and the flying monsters initially, but sometimes they're just kind of, you know, they might be preoccupied. So if you're having more trouble with flyers than the ogres, then place the crossbows on the bottom one, and that way they'll be dedicated to shooting the flyers mostly.
Very well.
And there we go. Now I finally got the traps to work on the ogres. So how I've set this level up now is I've worked on the top enough that I've got 3 charm pads and a whole bunch of AoE fire things, as well as a couple of crossbows, and I know that's sort of covered. And the reason why I put all the charms up the top and later on you'll see me not really checking on them, is I know that a lot of fire ogres come at the start of the waves, so it's sort of more just to slow them down, you know, charm one of the ogres, and then, you know, he, like you can see here, he's sort of kind of caught up the top, and that will give the crossbows up the top a chance to shoot them down, as well as it kind of gives me more time to deal with the orcs coming out of the middle rift or the flyers and not have to worry about that bulk of ogres. So you've also been noticing I've been placing spring traps between, well, that's where all my money's kind of going now, and between the fire traps, that's where I like to place the spring traps. I'm just always hitting, see there, I wasn't supposed to shoot that, but anyway, it worked out. But yes, and the next thing I want to work on now is spring traps and push pads, because I've got enough sort of guardians at the bottom and crossbows at the bottom. And you can see from here it's just pretty much will be raining orcs, and raining ogres as well. So I just want to make sure that they, when they do fall down, they are falling in the lava. And I just got to keep an eye on the flyers to make sure they don't overrun me. So yeah, just sort of staying by the archers, making sure they don't get killed by anything. Oh, so yeah, so they're flat on their back, so that's what I mean, is if you hit these spring traps earlier on, then they have a shortcut down to the lava, so unless you have the spring traps down there and you have it so it affects ogres, then it's not really the best thing to get them straight off the bat. Oh, why is that not? There we go. I don't understand the aim of the crossbow sometimes, but anyway. Oh, there we go. So now it's kind of like a combo thing. I mean, I'm pretty set for the rest of the levels, and there's just a couple more spring traps there and there. I mean, it's going to be really hard for the ogres to come through. But what I'm wary about though is that time limit, because last time I did it 15 seconds too late and didn't get the 5 skulls. So there we go. He's got some. And boof, into the lava, so that's cool. Oh, there's a bit of a gap there, should be looking to plug that, there we go. And yeah, I find that just a row of the spring traps along that bottom ones sort of, whoa, you got a bit of distance on them. But yeah, the other thing I suppose to notice as well is that the flame traps that I'm using, they also work as kind of a spring trap, but they're sort of like a mini spring trap. So when you're placing them, you can place them so it will you know, spring the monsters into the lava as well. But bear in mind what I said is at the start, when you're first placing the initial ones, if you can't guarantee that they will land into the lava, then just be wary about doing it. Now I know for the monsters up above on the top level, I could place some of those spring traps there maybe earlier on if you really wanted to. I just prefer to kill them as they come out the door. But sort of the other side, sort of behind where I am now is kind of where I'm talking about, up the stairs. But yeah, any ogres that do fall over the edge, you just want to make sure that they settle down, trap. You do want to make sure that they just actually do go in the lava and die. So I'm pretty sure that may only be 2 rounds that have the sappers. And I know one of them's like the 3rd one, and then from then on it's kind of like fire ogres, and fire ogres, and a lot of the flying monsters as well. So the crossbows really help on the wall for the flying monsters as well as your fire ring. But yeah, see from here I just place in a couple more of the crossbows down the bottom. Whoa, there we go, look at that, all the orcs flying around. I did have a bit more spring traps and stuff, believe it or not, on the time I did it before. But yeah, this is, you know, sort of fling them from side to side and whoa, ooh, you hit the back wall. They really should have like a basketball hoop or something, shouldn't they, where you could like, you know, shoot them in to get more points. But anyway. So for me now, I mean, I've got all my defenses set up. I've got the steel weaver to be able to attack the ogres. yeah, see, if I had spring traps where those 2 fire ogres are now, I wouldn't have to sit here and kill them. And there we go, I'm finally placing a couple of spring traps over there. So if you want to do that a little bit earlier on, then that should be okay. Maybe the fire ones, but use them as kind of a spring trap, might be a little bit better, just because they don't fling them as far. So there's not that much risk of them landing on, landing on the other side. So this is the final wave. There's lots of Kabuls around, so that's why the flame traps are pretty good. I mean, alternatively, I did use Brimstone on the original tower, but I just find these flame traps with them upgraded are just so much better than the Brimstone. So yeah, I just don't really see too much need for it. Oh, there we go. The fire ogres look so cool when they're flying. So I'm just sort of more admiring the show from now and just making sure that nothing kind of gets through. So every time an ogre lands down, I just want to make sure that he's going to stay down. And just looking up there to take out some of the flyers. There we go. There's 2, 3, 4 ogres. Oh, he's caught. And there he goes. So yeah, so I mean, you've only got so much money to be able to charm them, so you really got to find a way to deal with them, and just having a Steel Weaver and pushing them into the lava just seems to be the best way. I mean, I still had, what, 3, 4 charm pads out in the field, and there's just so many fire ogres come. So there, I finally got frozen. I mean, always keep your distance from the coyotes, the ice monsters and the fire ogres, and you should be able to stay alive. Hang out by the rift, and it's a pretty fun map, so have fun with it, but just be careful of the time limit if you are going for those 5 scales. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next one.